Hola chicos, hoy es el 27 de abril y este es el video de esta semana para la clase de Español 4. En este video esta semana vamos a seguir en la lección 6 y vamos a aprender los comparativos y superlativos, comparatives and superlatives. This is probably review for most of you. We'll be learning how to make comparisons and also express things like the most, the least, the best, the worst, etc. This corresponds to Estructuras 6.3 en la lección 6 de Imagina. Puedes encontrar esta información en la página 218 del libro. Vamos a empezar con las comparaciones de desigualdad, inequality. In English, we express comparisons of inequality with expressions like more than and less than. En español, usamos más o menos y que, con adjetivos, adverbios y sustantivos. Por ejemplo, mi hermana es más conservadora que yo. Más, followed by the adjective, followed by que. More conservative than. Yo aprendo más fácilmente que tú. Más, followed by the adverb, followed by que. More easily than you. Su familia tiene menos problemas que nosotros. Menos, followed by the noun, problemas, followed by que. So we can use this formula, más o menos, plus the adjective, adverb, or noun, plus que, to make more than or less than comparisons with adjectives, adverbs, and nouns. Comparaciones de desigualdad, more than, less than. One more kind of more than, less than comparison, and this is with verbs. The formula is a little bit different. To make more than, less than comparisons with verbs, we start with the verb and then add más que o menos que. Por ejemplo, tú cocinas más que ella. Verb followed by más que. You cook more than she does. Nos peleamos menos que antes. Verb, nos peleamos, followed by menos que. Ojo, careful. This is a little note of attention or caution. Más o menos, more or less, when we use them with numbers is a little different. These aren't comparisons. So, before a number, more than or less than, in Spanish is expressed with de instead of que. Por ejemplo, tengo más de 100 libros en mi oficina. I have more than 100 books in my office. It's not a comparison. Nos quedan menos de 15 minutos. Te toca a ti. It's your turn. Go ahead and pause the video to take a moment to make up your own examples. Inventa tus propios ejemplos. Pause now. Okay, we are ready to move on to comparaciones de igualdad, comparisons of equality. In English, to make comparisons of equality, we use as, something, as adjective as adverb as. En español, tan adjetivo como o tan adverbio como. Por ejemplo, la clase de química es tan importante como la clase de español. Tan importante como. tan adjetivo como. Yo considero los candidatos tan cuidadosamente como mis padres cuando voto. Tan cuidadosamente como. Tan adverbio como. As carefully as. Para hacer comparaciones de igualdad con sustantivos, with nouns, usamos tanto, sustantivo, como. When we use this construction, as noun as, in Spanish, that first word, tanto, the first as, becomes an adjective. And so we have to also make sure that it agrees in gender and number with the noun that follows it. Por ejemplo, mi madre gana tanto dinero como mi padre. Tanto dinero como. As much money as. Dinero is a singular masculine noun, so I use tanto. Tanto dinero como. Mi amiga toma tantas clases como yo. My friend takes as many classes as I. Clases is feminine and plural, so I have to change tanto to tantas. Una comparación de igualdad más. One more comparison of equality. When we are making a comparison of equality with verbs, we use the verb followed by tanto como, and in this case, tanto never changes. It'll always be tanto como. Por ejemplo, yo estudio tanto como mi hermana. I study as much as my sister. Mis padres se preocupan tanto como mis abuelos. My parents worry as much as my grandparents. Ojo! Ten cuidado. Tan and tanto, the words tan and tanto, can also be used for emphasis rather than to compare. So rather than being part of tanto como, we can use them all by themselves. Tan meaning so, tanto so much, tantos or tantas so many. Por ejemplo, ellos son tan guapos. They are so good looking. ¿Por qué te preocupas tanto? Why do you worry so much? Te llamé tantas veces. I called you so many times. Ahora te toca a ti. It's your turn. Pause the video e inventa tus propios ejemplos. Okay, we're moving on to superlativos, superlatives. We've got a nice long formula here. To express a superlative, saying that something or someone is the most something, the most adjective of a group, or the least, we use this formula. Definite article, el, la, los, or las, followed by the noun that we're describing, followed by más o menos, most or least, followed by the adjective that we're comparing, and if we're going to include the larger group that they are the most or the least of, then we would use de after that. Por ejemplo, la clase de chino es la clase más difícil de todas. Chinese class is the most difficult class of all. La clase más difícil de todas, of all of them. Estos son los pantalones menos caros de la tienda. Los pantalones menos caros. The least expensive pants de la tienda. La feria de abril en Sevilla es la feria más conocida. Notice that in this example, I didn't add the de and the largest group. We can just leave that out if it's understood what the larger group is. The feria of April in Sevilla is the most well-known feria. We can assume that's of all of the ferias. Los estudiantes de Lake Ridge High School son los más talentosos. Here I've left out the de. I've also left out the noun, estudiantes. If it's understood what the noun is, we can just leave that out. Los más talentosos. Te toca a ti. Pausa para inventar tus propios ejemplos. Moving on. Irregular comparatives and superlatives. Just like in English, there are some irregulars. For example, we wouldn't ever say that something is gooder than or the goodest. We say it is better than or the best. So good has irregular comparative and superlative forms in English. It also has irregulars in Spanish. So, for bueno, we would use mejor o el mejor. Para malo, peor o el peor. Grande, mayor o el mayor. Pequeño, menor o el menor. Viejo, mayor o el mayor. Y joven, menor o el menor. Por ejemplo, yo tengo 19 años y tú tienes 18 años. Yo soy mayor que tú. I am older than you. Clara es la hija menor de la familia. She's the youngest daughter in the family. El COVID-19 es el peor pandemia en más de un siglo. It's the worst pandemic in more than a century. And finally, absolute superlatives. The suffix ísimo is added to adjectives and adverbs to form the absolute superlative. This is roughly the equivalent of extremely or very, very in English. When added to adjectives, you must also make sure to change the ending to agree in gender and number because they're still adjectives. Por ejemplo, te amo muchísimo. Tus hermanos son guapísimas. Esta película es larguísima. Also, note that adjectives that end in N or R form the absolute superlative by adding sísimo. It's just an extra C before the ísimo. Por ejemplo, recomendé este estudiante porque es trabajadorcísimo. He's extremely hardworking. Bueno, chicos, para más detalles y ejemplos puedes ver el texto, páginas 218 y 219. Your supersite practice this week and your quiz next Monday will be on comparatives and superlatives. Nos vemos el viernes. Nos vemos el viernes. Chao.